Ambitious and motivated are words that describe you best. Then you're on the right place. This is Motivational Radio Friends from Paris with your host, Longi Agoha.
Can we recoin these financial goals to financial discipline? Because I believe in one word, this is exactly what you're saying, that we need to be financially disciplined to go through all of that. Because anybody who is not would find it difficult to obey these rules you're just stepping out.
Absolutely, yes. There are people like that. And that's why we have the 12-month system. And so I work with people that have issues with discipline or consistency, because consistency is really the key. If you're not consistent, then you can't carry out the discipline.
Now, how do you develop that consistency? I mean, for someone who is not consistent or who has never been consistent all his life, is it possible to rearrange him or her?
Yes, absolutely. It's working with them and showing the benefits. So when, like I told you, there's a 12-month plan. So it's not like I do a 1-month consultation and then I let the person be. No. I work with them over, months. Usually it's a weekly thing. And so they show me stuff that, okay, this is what I've done this week. I did this. I'm sorry I did this, but this happened. And then I look for ways to bring them back on track. But the fact is that I am on call for that. And so I hold hands and I conjure and I persevere with the client until those goals are reached. So the hope is that for 12 months, if they're used to doing a certain, type of thing in a certain type of way, that they get used to that and then carry along. And usually people do have crisis and they do call me after the 12 months and then we do walk around it as well. But it's not as bad, to the point as where I first met them.
Okay, so after 12 months, their life becomes something different.
Yes, and they usually follow, but of course we're humans. There's always going to be some sort of issue. So I do work with crisis even after 12 months. And I do take the calls after 12 months. But the thing is, they're not as bad as they were the first time I met them. And so it's still that saying, and it's always good because I always say you should have a buddy. And usually when it's the single parent, it's either maybe a parent or a friend, that I assign as the buddy who keeps charge and makes sure, okay, fine, I can see you shopping now. Is it part of your scheme? And so when you have somebody always looking over your shoulder telling you, no, you are not meant to do that, people tend to keep on track. And for some families, I find the kids are very helpful. The moment I involve kids in this process, it's amazing what kids do for parents.
Wow.
Yes, it's amazing because then you'll see the kids say, no, I don't think we should do that. No, I don't think we should buy that. I don't think we have the budget for that. So it's amazing to hear that. So I always tell people, if your kids are above 8 or 9, please call them to the meetings. They need to be aware.
What are the pride of the mother or the father who don't want the child to assist in the meeting, and because it's kind of labeling the parents as not very strict?
If we're worried about pride, we will not be in the situation we're in. Because everyone suffers. When there's debt in the household, everyone suffers. And the thing I notice with a lot of African families is that they tend to keep kids away from the process, which is really wrong, because you have taken them out of, we're all living outside our African communities where families and, the extended families are always involved with what's happening. And so you're now in a very secluded environment. It's difficult as parents to carry on, with all these pressures, with work, with money and responsibilities, and keep kids away from what is happening. And the main reason why we pass on this whole lack of financial knowledge is because we don't teach our kids from the beginning. And I will always go back to African heritage because I believe there's a lot to learn from our heritage that we take for granted. For instance, when kids, with the age sets that they had with African societies, kids are taught from the beginning. You teach by learning. They were not kept in, like we do with education where we lock kids away in schools. They were part of the process. Even with the girls, they were part of the process. The women taught the girls, which is what they grew up with and they passed down to their own kids. And so we can still have the same system. We can still utilize our heritage when dealing with our kids because our kids learn more by doing and seeing. They do exactly what we do.
Yeah, consciously or unconsciously.
Unconsciously or consciously. They repeat it. And a lot of Black people all over the world, it's an issue. Financial management is an issue. It's not just an African issue. It's a Black issue. A lot of Black people cannot manage their finances. It's ridiculous.
Now, but see, now that we, because both of us are in the Western world, and we have gone through the school system here, I didn't find any particular course while I was in the university where kids or children or students were taught financial mastery or financial knowledge. So where did it come from? I mean, if you say all Black people have financial issues, which I might agree with you, where I'm trying to compare the Black world and the Western world where lots of Black people live also, and they grew up in this society, and at the same time they still have issues with finance. So where's the problem?
The problem is with white people, with Europeans, with other races. They make it an issue to teach. They explain everything. When they go into shops, they explain everything to their kids. So they prepare the kids. They may give them everything, but they tell them why. And so that is something we miss. We believe that adult issues are adult issues and kids should not be involved. I don't know where this notion comes from because it's not part of us. It was never part of us. We've always done things that we needed to pass down to the next generation. So I don't know if we lost that through colonization or we lost that through slave trade. I don't know what happened, but we've lost that connection.
Yeah, but okay, let me come back again. Let us take an example of Black Americans. They are Americans and they grew up in the American society, even though they are Blacks, right?
Yes.
I mean, are you saying that a Black American family does not teach the children what is involved in the house?
No, I'm not saying they don't teach their kids. I'm saying they don't make it a priority. They don't make it a priority to, as part of the home, the education they get from the household. They expect kids, and I think it's because, regardless, African kids, Black kids are very switched on. It's just that there's something missing. And I know because my husband is Black American, and I know that a lot of these financial issues we're talking about was also a problem for him. And his parents as well have found out that it's been a problem, but they have institutions where they can go to learn, which is the difference between the Africans and the Black Americans. Because they have to do their taxes. So they need to know how this is done. Usually we Africans in Europe and Africans coming out of Africa shy away from things like this. There is acute fear for taxes. And some are lucky that because they're working, it's taken out of their paychecks. They don't have to worry about that. But there are a lot of us that are self-employed that do not know how to pay our taxes until we have to, do something legal. And then they're asking for taxes and people run helter-skelter looking for accountants. It's amazing how cut off from daily, records of what we do with money, how cut off we are from that. Imagine talking to women about their hair and how much they spend on their hair. And a lot of women will tell you that, oh my God, no, do not joke with that money that I use for my hair. I have to have my hair done. You get that only in the Black society. You understand?
Wow, you are really mesmerizing me here. Yeah, because the thing is, I'm beginning to, while you're speaking, I'm thinking back. I'm making connections from my own story. Okay. And yeah, you're right, because we do have issues. We do have issues with finance, especially with the taxing system. But don't you think it is also in our own culture, because of the fact that in Africa, maybe
we don't pay taxes.
We don't pay taxes. And so when you come in here, you're told to pay taxes. You say, wow, what is it? Exactly. What is it? And if you're lucky, you get a job and you're working and taking the taxes, okay. But if you move away from that system where you have to maybe look for, get a company, or you're working for you have your own company and you have to do the taxing yourself, you have to submit the tax papers and all the rest, you begin to see that it's a hell of a problem.
Exactly.
Yes, one hell of a problem. And I don't know if it is cultural. I don't know what it is
either.
Yeah. I don't know if it's part of laziness. I don't really, it's very difficult.
I think it's because we're so relaxed when it comes to, financial, situations and systems, because in Africa, there's always one relative that will help with something.
Right.
And so it's not a crucial part of our upbringing. It's not a crucial part of how we see life, because we don't do taxes even in Nigeria. For example.
No, we don't. Not really, even it is when if you start running for an official, maybe you want to have a contract with the government,
exactly.
Or you want to run for public office, they will begin to ask you for a tax clearance.
Exactly. And so it's always a last minute thing.
Last minute thing, yeah. Yeah, we don't have something that is really down, that is handed over from just the government, doing that, because I believe the government does that.
Yes.
And then the parents pick the rest and hand it down as well. So it is, don't you think? Because there's some people ask me, they believe, because after staying here for a while now, I'm beginning to compare Africa and Europe.
Yes.
Because the cliche is always that Africans are very lazy. All right. And now I'm beginning to see why it is so. We're not particularly lazy.
No.
I think the condition we live in Africa makes us lazy. One, I will explain. Because when I go back, for example, I see how lazy or laid back I am each time I go back, because of the temperature.
Yes.
Because of the heat.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe, and when you look back during the summertime in Europe, when you see how Europeans go to the beach to
yes.
lie down and suntan and the rest, nobody wants to work.
Exactly.
So imagine you having such temperature every day, 12 months in a year,
yes.
non-stop.
Yes.
You will somehow be lazy.
Yes.
All right. So I always tell them that the condition we live in makes us lazy. Not that we are lazy. It's just that the temperature it's so stifling that you find it difficult to move around.
Exactly.
So that's one explanation that is really so glaring. But the cliche is that Africans are very lazy people.
No, they are not. It's just that they go in a different direction.
Exactly. You see? So this financial thing, I still believe also that some few Africans are still good in finances.
Oh, yes.
All right?
Absolutely. Yes, you will get those, because you will get those that were trained in the financial sector. Of course, yes. It's in every race. You will see the good and the bad.
Right.
But then when you see a majority, which is not just African, which falls under Black communities, then you begin to question what exactly is the issue here. Is it that we're much more drawn towards, finesse, anything to do with grandeur, the designer wears, things that you need to actually prepare yourself for, they're not needs, they are wants. And you find that more with the Black communities. So is there something psychologically binding towards this?
There's something that we, the French call the nouveau riche. That is someone who just arrived.
Okay.
All right, because I believe if you go into the society here where you see where riches were handed down from families, you grow up into a very rich family, and then you begin to see that money has a different taste in such a family. But if you come into a family where the man just arrived and had money and became so rich overnight, the way he will use money will be different from somebody who had money from generation.
Yes.
So there are lots of nouveau rich in Africa. They're the new rich in Africa. Unlike Europe, where money had always been there.
Yes.
And so nobody makes noise about it because you don't need to. Everybody has. So you don't need to make any noise about it. While in Africa, generally, I believe that when one person has money, maybe about 10 of them around him do not have. Okay, so he has a tendency to show the world that he has arrived, that he has made it. Because don't forget it's not easy to make money. So when you do make it, you want to tell the world you have done it.
But I think the hardest part.
Oh, that's another thing. That's another thing. That's another thing.
It's one thing to make the money, it's another thing to keep it. And the reason why we have more rich, white families staying rich is because they do not overspend what they have. They don't.
Yeah, but again, like I said, it's because we spend time showing people that we have made it. So in the process, we spend much more than we have. Because it's not easy to make it. So when you do make it, you want to tell the world, hey, I have done it.
But that's the part I don't seem to understand. Okay, it was hard getting this money. Why not look for ways to keep it?
To stabilize it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that the next generation and the next generation will. And then the thing is that I find with people that have money like this is that when they have this money, they do not teach their kids how to keep this money. And so the kids end up spending everything because there's this funfair once the parent is gone, and then the money dwindles.
That's it. Easy come, easy go.
Exactly. And so how do you leave a legacy if you are not teaching the kids from the beginning, which I think it's really important, because there's no point working hard for all this money and then turning in my grave when my kids are mismanaging the same money.
Yeah, I think if I were to be the one, I will come out again.
Oh, I will definitely come out.
I'll come again. I'll give him a very dirty slap, you see.
So why work so hard for that and not train the kids? Why leave them out? They're the ones you're working hard for. So why not teach them to keep the legacy?
Yeah.
To have something to pass on as well, which is what I think is missing in the African community.
To have Longi Agahar speak at any of your organizations, activities, churches, schools, companies, or any other platform, please call 081 0476 1930 or +33 6 0920 1972. Alternatively, or log on to www.agahar.longi.com. Thank you.